The checkout line started moving in the wrong direction. Not at the end of a holiday. Not after a long weekend. In the middle of peak booking season, guests at five-star hotels on Jumeirah Beach began cutting trips short, requesting early checkout, rescheduling flights, leaving rooms that cost $1,200 a night after less than 48 hours. Hotel management called it a minor anomaly. Travel agencies called it a statistical blip. Nobody called it what it actually was. The first visible crack in an empire built entirely on the promise of perfect weather. Then the temperature crossed 67 degrees Celsius on the surface of the road outside the Burj Al Arab, and perfect stopped being an option. Dubai has spent 50 years engineering an answer to nature. It drained the sea to build islands. It frosted the desert air inside shopping malls the size of small cities. It planted ski slopes beneath the same sky where the sun is now burning the asphalt soft. The entire project. The hotels, the towers, the tourist economy, the global brand, rests on one fundamental premise, that Dubai could make the desert livable. More than livable. Irresistible. What no one modeled for was what happens when the desert decides to answer back. Right now, something is shifting in Dubai that the press releases are not capturing, that the tourism boards are not broadcasting, and that the architectural renders on the billboards are not equipped to show. The heat is not just making the city uncomfortable. It is beginning to make the city unusable. And when a city's entire identity is built on being the most spectacular place on earth, unusable is an existential threat. This is not about one bad summer. Pay attention to what comes next. The first thing that disappears at extreme heat is outdoor life. Not dramatically. Not all at once. It retreats in stages, like water receding. Before a wave. The beach chairs thin out by 9 in the morning. The walking promenades along the marina, usually photographed into screensavers, empty before the shadows have finished shrinking. The rooftop bars that made Dubai famous, the ones you saw on every travel influencer's page, glasses raised against that impossible skyline, begin to operate in a single viable hour window between 5 and 7 in the evening before the residual heat from the concrete makes standing outside genuinely dangerous. Dubai's outdoor infrastructure is now largely decorative. Beautiful from a distance. Physically hostile up close. And tourists who are paying extraordinary sums of money for an extraordinary experience are beginning to notice the gap between the image and the day they are actually living. The Instagram posts still go up, but the captions have started changing. Less wonder. More qualification. Amazing, but so hot. Incredible city. Couldn't really enjoy outside. The hotel was perfect. Didn't leave it much. That last one is appearing more and more across more and more platforms with a frequency that should be making investors in Dubai's outdoor attraction economy very nervous. Because the hotel is not the product. Dubai is the product. The hotel is just where you sleep between experiencing it. When tourists stop experiencing the city, they start asking the question that no luxury destination wants to hear. Why did I come here? Understand what Dubai actually sells. It is not just hotels. It is not just shopping. It is a sensation. The sensation of standing at the edge of human ambition, of watching a skyline that should not exist rising from sand that should only produce heat and silence. You to walk the streets to feel the scale, to stand at the base of towers and look up. It requires outdoor proximity to the spectacle. Strip that away, and heat above 50 degrees Celsius makes outdoor exposure not just uncomfortable but medically inadvisable. And what you have left is a very expensive, very air-conditioned hotel room attached to a very expensive, very air-conditioned shopping mall attached to a view you can observe from behind glass. And in the global tourism market, where every dollar of discretionary spending is competing against Bali, Santorini, the Maldives, Barcelona, and 100 other destinations that are selling experiential access to beauty you can actually touch, beautiful but unreachable is a losing proposition. The tourism industry in Dubai is not in freefall. Be precise about that. The arrivals numbers are still strong. The occupancy rates at major hotels are still defensible. But the shape of the visits is changing. shorter, more confined, more dependent on internal infrastructure, and more concentrated in a November to March window that is now bearing the full weight of an economy that once operated on a 9-month tourism calendar. Watch what happens when the compression continues. The hotels know. That is perhaps the most important thing to understand. The major operators, the groups managing portfolios of 4- and 5-star properties across the city, are not surprised by what the heat is doing. They have been watching occupancy patterns migrate toward the cooler months for years. What surprises them is the speed of the shift. What they did not model was that the acceleration would arrive this soon, this visibly, at a temperature extreme that health authorities have already begun flagging as dangerous for standard outdoor exertion. The internal language at several major hotel groups has already changed. Weather risk is now a real line item in long-range planning documents that 5 years ago would not have included the word climate anywhere except in descriptions of the financial climate. The risk is no longer theoretical. It is operational. And the operational response has been what it always is at the luxury end of the market. Spend more on the inside. Upgrade the interior experiences. Build the dining, the entertainment, the wellness, the spectacle indoors. Make the hotel itself so overwhelming that the question of what is happening outside becomes less urgent. It is a smart short-term strategy. It is also an admission. When the world's most ambitious hospitality industry begins engineering its product around keeping tourists indoors, it is accepting implicitly that the outdoor city it was built beside has become a liability.